the Petrov and other choices, I'm trying to understand, is this change in opening style, do you think this has been critical to your recent success?
Well, basically, it doesn't matter what do you play if you know what you're doing. Yes, so well, in that case, I mean, you could name basically one of like 3 or 4 very solid openings with Balck, and if you let's say study them by heart, you can be, I believe, more or less successful. But I mean, speaking about my more or less recent results, it's more about the general approach, other like picking some particular openings.
And if I may continue what Magnus said about the football he played yesterday, you know, as one of your opponents, do you think that anyone was afraid to go too hard on you if they were to injure you? Because I certainly did not want to be the guy who injured you before the next day.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think a lot of people would indeed have that mentality that they would not want to injure somebody like important to a lot of people. I've played with some professional footballers in my life. And my approach then was very different. Like I always felt it would be a fun story if I injured them when they played on their spare time. Yeah, that's so. I always went like extra hard against them, and it gave me an edge because it forced them to shy away instead. So a little tip there.
I'll try to give you more of a challenge next time, but thank you.
Anastasia Karlovich is base. Hello, everyone. Magnus, happy birthday. And my question is actually about your birthday because I don't know if you know that Winston Churchill was born the same day as you. And do you think you have something common with a former Prime Minister of Great Britain? The first question, or maybe you remember some of his quotes or expressions.
Yeah. I mean, there was this quote from Churchill and one of his opponents. I think that he was a very modest man, and he had great reasons to be modest. So I would say for my opponent that he's not a modest man, and with good reason.
Okay, thank you. And one more question also for Jan. Which wishes would you like to give to Magnus today on his birthday?
I mean, just enjoy what he's doing and like be healthy, happy, lucky, and all the best.
Thank you.
A question for Jan. How is this championship match going according to what you planned? Are you playing better, worse, or according to plan?
I might probably tell this when the match will be over.
Well, we have 2 more questions, please.
Mike Flanagan with Chess.com. Question again for Magnus. This may sound like a silly question, but it's actually quite serious. A lot of athletes, when they get into their 30s, the recovery time is lessened. And I've seen you play sports during World Championships for 3 or 4 hours at a time. So does your body feel any different after these rest days when you do a lot of sports?
Yeah, it's a really good question. There was one person in my team yesterday who had one task and one task only, which was to pull me away after set number of matches, so that I would not be too tired. So that's certainly something that I'm conscious of.
Any more questions?
Magnus, in the end, you were thinking for 22 minutes for knight f6, also 34 minutes. Could you share some of the lines that you were looking at? Like, were there some opportunities?
Yeah, I was considering a lot of things, like d6, king g2, followed by rook e8, also rook a2, followed by rook e3 after rook b3. But black just seemed to hold everywhere. I guess d6 was kind of the most obvious way to try and find something. But I didn't think it was close.
We just have one more question from the Bday Chess Twitter page. You can send your questions in, and you may get to hear them here on the air. Magnus, to you, do you plan on sharing any of your birthday cake with Team Nepo?
Yeah, that's a weird question. First of all, I don't know if I'll have any. Maybe a little bit tomorrow. But I think with the history of World Championship matches, I don't think you would accept any piece of food from the opposing team ever.
With that, we conclude the press conference. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.